Hello and welcome. I will give you all the information you will need about which weapons are best in Firestorm. Let's go right ahead. First off, you will need to decide which weapon combination you want to play with. I recommend one long-range weapon and one medium to short-range weapon. But you can go with a short-range weapon and one medium to long-range weapon. I'll explain what I mean. The SMGs are great in short-range combat and okay in medium-range combat. Assault rifles like the Sturmgewehr or STG-44 are great in medium-range combat and okay in short range. Then we also have the M1A carbine or Gewehr 43, which are like hybrids and are okay in both medium to long range. Then we have snipers such as the Kar 98K and ZH29, which are great in long-range combat. Let me break it down for you. Basically, if you have an SMG, you could equip the M1A carbine or Gewehr 43. You could also go with the STG-44 and set it to single fire. But I prefer the M1A carbine or Gewehr 43. If you have an assault rifle that is automatic, such as the Sturmgewehr, I would combine it with a long-range weapon, like the Kar 98K or ZH29. When you combine these types of weapons, it makes you cover a broader range. You will be having a good to great chance to kill enemies in both short, medium to long range. If you would equip a shotgun with an SMG, you'd be having a hard time killing people in medium to long range. Or if you have an SMG and a sniper, you would be having problem dealing with enemies in medium range combat. Being versatile and adaptive in Firestorm is the key to success, and being prepared for all types of ranges will reward you. Now, let's go more in depth. I will review some weapons and give you my personal favorites and least favorite weapons. Let's start with the bad ones. I rarely use the Sten. Even if I had a level... Why is it so hard to speak sometimes? Sorry. What I was supposed to say is that I rarely use the Sten. Even if I find a level 3 Sten, I'm probably going to skip picking it up. The reason is because its fire rate is not that high and the specializations aren't that good. It's good in hipfire, but not much more. Next up are the shotguns. They are mostly good in close range combat, but if you miss a shot, you will be struggling. Then we have the Liberator, which is a handgun. It only shoots one bullet, so you will need to be steady with it, or your life will flash before your eyes. The two following weapons are somewhat debatable if they are good or not. I might get some hate with the first one, which is the M1A carbine. It's definitely not a bad weapon, but I feel like it's good in all ranges and not really great in any of them. So it's good if you want to combine it with a weapon which is more extreme, like a level 3 SMG, shotgun, or MG42, which are extremely powerful in their specific range. Next up is the Bren gun. It's okay in medium range combat, but the mag is covering your vision and it's too slow and bulky in close range. Now, we'll talk about my favorite medium to close range weapons. This is a tie between the Sturmgewehr and STG-44 in level 2. The Sturmgewehr is good in level 1 and great in level 2 and 3. The STG-44 is okay in level 1, great in level 2, and okay in level 3, where it's attached with a scope. So in level 3 it's more of a long-range weapon. These weapons are stable with high accuracy, damage, and good fire rate. Also, they have enough ammo to kill 1 or 2 enemies. They're also good to spray with and will stay fairly accurate throughout firing a whole magazine. My favorite long-range weapons are the level 2 and level 3 Gewehr 43 and ZH29. I do like bolt-action rifles in the other game modes, because you can kill your enemies with a headshot. But it's different in Firestorm. What usually happens is that even if you do a headshot, you will break the enemy's armor, and while you reload, the enemies mostly takes cover or start shooting at you, which will make your aim decrease drastically. And that second bullet you have better be a hit. But with the Gewehr 43 or ZH29, you will have your enemies in sight all the time and you don't have to reload between the bullets, which will put your enemies under pressure and you will have more control over the situation. There's actually one more weapon which I think is pretty good in medium to long range, and that is the MG42, especially at level 3. It's a monster with its high fire rate and damage. The fire rate will shock your enemies and put them under immense pressure instantly, and they are lucky if they survive 2 seconds. But the downer is that you will need to deploy your bipod with it. To use it in long range, you will need to start aiming on your enemy's feet and let the recoil trace all the way up to the enemy's head. There's actually one more thing you will need to have in mind. When the circle gets smaller, you should consider to adapt your weapon combinations by changing them. The long-range weapons won't be ideal, and you would be better off with a close and close to medium-range weapon. If you have a question, you can tell me in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great life!